The Liberal Party of Canada is hoping to make a comeback after a bruising defeat last fall at the polls. The party now has a new leader, a man who Liberals hope will lead them back to the political promised land, so to speak, running this country. He's also a man who his supporters say is almost destined to become Prime Minister of Canada. Interim leader of the Liberal Party, Michael Ignatieff, he is here with us. Welcome.
Nice to be here.
Let's start with all the buzz going on about the budget. Now, you've said Canadians want an election like a hole in the head in February, but we know your party doesn't have a lot of money right now. You've just taken over as leader of the party. Is it a fair assessment to say, at least at this point, the signs are pointing to you supporting the budget?
I don't think you should infer that. My sense is that I'm going to look at the budget. I put out some ideas about what I'm going to be looking for. Does it protect the most vulnerable in our society? Does it save jobs? And does it create the jobs of tomorrow? And if it fails to meet those tests, I'm prepared to vote against it.
A lot of politicians are saying, almost all politicians are saying, in all sorts of Western countries, the economy is a central focus for them. It's jobs, jobs, jobs. Polls here in Canada are saying that's what Canadians want. How do you differ, though, from Stephen Harper and his policies as we look towards his budget?
The Liberal Party will always put an emphasis on protecting the vulnerable, and I'm not so sure that that's the strong theme in Mr. Harper's mind. Secondly, we have a great reputation for fiscal responsibility. We inherited a deficit from Mr. Mulroney. We cleaned it up. We left power in 2006 with a $12 billion surplus. So we feel fiscal responsibility is very important because we don't want to load onto our children burdens we're not prepared to carry ourselves.
Are you ready to fight an election?
I'm ready to fight an election. I'm ready to lead a government. I'm ready to do what the Canadian people want me to do. I mean, but you know, I'm in the opposition here. I get to play the cards once they're dealt, but they haven't been dealt to me yet.
All right, switch to Afghanistan. In the past, you've called yourself a humanitarian hawk. You've written about the war in Afghanistan. I know you originally supported intervention, also originally at least intervention by the U.S. in Iraq. Recently, you've changed to a certain extent. Now you're saying Canada should be out of there by 2011, regardless of what a President Obama may or may not ask you. Have you had to compromise your principles based on the party that you're now a part of or the polls? What happened there?
I don't think there's been a change in my position. I think my party consistently supported the Afghan mission from the beginning. We initiated the Afghanistan mission. But I basically said enough is enough. We've done a tremendous job in Afghanistan. I'm incredibly proud of those soldiers. But I think it's time for us to say we've done our turn. It's time for us to come home, and it's time for the Afghans to take over the burden of defending their own country, because it's their country, not ours.
2 years ago, you came very close to becoming leader of the Liberal Party. Tvdh took over. Any missed opportunities in those 2 years? Be honest with me.
I never go to woulda, shoulda, coulda. I just never do. For me personally, the 2 years when I served as deputy leader were years of apprenticeship. I learned a tremendous amount. Politics is a tough game. You got to learn it like anything else.
Your predecessor had difficulty sometimes connecting with his fellow francophones. How do you differ on that issue from him?
I don't know that I think I, in 2006, was the first federal politician to get out there and say, look, there's a national identity here. These Quebecers have a national identity that has to be respected. I don't want to open the constitutional Pandora's box, but it strengthens. My key argument has always been very simple. It strengthens the identity of Canada to recognize the identities that compose Canada as opposed to denying them and suppressing them. And I think that gives me a way of talking to Francophone Quebecers, my fellow citizens, my friends, my colleagues, that allows me to be heard. I think, frankly, sometimes the Liberal Party of Canada has had some trouble getting its message through. We've made mistakes in the past. There's no point pretending.
Do you think that your vision is one that matches better for Quebecers than necessarily the Conservative vision, which there was a lot of flirtation going on prior to the election last time, as you know?
Well, I hope so. Just on that one issue of culture, 50 million or 40 million of cuts by the Conservatives indicated how little they understand the importance of culture, how little they understand the importance of cultural industries in Montreal and the whole Quebec area, how little they respect the importance of having a government that works in partnership with our creators, the people with the imagination, the brilliance. The stuff we're proud of is made by our creators. I used to be a writer, so I'm talking about my guys here. They just didn't get it. They didn't understand how important that is to Quebec. And I think that's one place, for example, where it's very easy for the Liberal Party to say, we're your partners.
In times of crisis, people look for leadership. You didn't take this job on to become leader of the opposition. You want to be prime minister at one point, obviously. Is Canada losing its way right now?
I think it is. It's interesting you put it that way. I think it is. I think we've been drifting. I think we are more regionalized. We are less than the sum of our parts. I think a prime minister has one job, which is to bring us together and rouse us to our best. That's what I think we've been missing for a while, certainly under the leadership of Mr. Harper. He's a divider. I'm a uniter. And I think that contrast is almost the center of my objection to him as a prime minister. That's why one day, you know, depending on what the people watching this program feel, I sure would like to be prime minister.
All right. Michael Ignatieff, thanks so very much for coming in here today.
Great to be here.
Appreciate it.